up, guys? It's Bridget. Welcome back. So today's video is going to be something kind of cool and fun. Today we are going to be comparing the Kat Von D Divine palette, which is on sale at Sephora for $23, and the Hush app dupe, which is Lightspeed by Bad Habit. Both these palettes are cruelty-free, and we're going to do a side-by-side comparison today and see which one is worth your money. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video. Alright guys, before we get started, I do put it every single freaking day, so if you want to subscribe, I appreciate it. It'd be cool. So, I did a side by side. This is obviously the look that I created. One eye is using the Divine palette, the other eye is using the Bad Habit one. So today we're going to talk about how I created this eye look. I used every color except for two of them in the palettes. They have the exact same colors. So this is the Divine palette by Kat Von D, which I'm sure you've seen, but I really wanted to try it after it started going on sale because why not? It's cheaper now. So this is the palette itself. This color is a little bit dirty with some silver on it. But there you go. It's really cute. I like the eyebrows on the mirror. I think that's fun. And this is the Lightspeed palette by Bad Habit, which is the dupe for it. So here are the colors in this palette. They're the same exact colors. All the colors are the same, and they're just in little... Let's just put them side by side. I mean, it's the same palette. They're in a different order, though. The colors, when you see it like this, look very accurate, but when you put it on eyes, a couple of colors are slightly off. So let's talk about how I created this eye look. So first things first for this eye look was setting my white eyeshadow base. For the Divine palette, I used the color of Female Trouble all over the lid to set the base, and for the Lightspeed palette, I used the shade of Blast Off. The next step was to put some color over the crease. Since there's only 3 mattes in this palette, I decided to go for the color of Waters in the Divine palette. Obviously inspired by John Waters, the director. Really good director. He's a little bit crazy though. And then for the Lightspeed palette, I used the shade of Hyperdrive. And they're very similar. I would say that the white bases I put down originally are, like, the Bad Habit one's very, like, it's a little more powdery, but they're basically the same thing. They're both very bright, very white. And for this first crease color, I would say that I like the Kat Von D one better. They both have the same color, kind of same color pigment. I do say that the Kat Von D one is slightly more pigmented and way easier to blend. I feel like the Lightspeed palette had a lot more work it had to take to kind of build up and make it blend easier. It really wanted to stick where you put it, wouldn't really blend out. So for the Kat Von D one, that one won that shade for me. So for the next shade, I really wanted to use the green in the inner corner. It is a shimmer, but I decided I could just pack it on and see how it worked. So for the Divine palette, I used the shade of Pink Flamingos, obviously inspired by the movie. And for the Lightspeed palette, I used the color of Supersonic. And I must say that both of these greens look very good. I don't see a difference in the green shades. I think this one's slightly darker than this green, but overall, they're pretty equal, and since there's a lot of other shades going on in the lids, it's not really the primary focus of this eye makeup today. So next up, I decided to darken up the outer corner. I think this very farther outer corner needed a little bit darker, and I'm not a fan of black eyeshadow, but I wanted to try it out in this palette because there are only 3 mattes. So for the Divine palette, I used the shade of Hard Magic just to darken up the outer corner of the eye, and for the Lightspeed palette, I used the shade of Black Hole. Now when it came to comparing these two shadows, the Divine palette was much more pitch black. I found it was very, very black. And this Lightspeed palette had a little bit more of a gray black, and it was a little harder to blend. But, you know, it's still a black shadow. I don't think it's that big of a deal if one's a little slightly more gray, because you could always just build it up. For the next shade, I decided to do the inner portion of the lid area. I didn't want to use my finger for both shimmer shades on my lid because I wanted to see how it performed with a dry, flat brush. So for the Divine palette, I used the color Hairspray, which is a metallic silver. And for the Lightspeed palette, I used the color of Orbit. I found that the Orbit had more glitter in it. And I don't know if you can tell, but on this side of my face, right here, there's a whole bunch of little sparkly silver glitters that fell down on my cheek, and I cannot remove. I don't know. I've tried getting brushes and get it off. I can't get it off. But there was no fallout with the Kat Von D one, but it had a little slightly brighter glitter in the Lightspeed one, but there was some fallout that I can't get off my face now. So there's that. And for the outer lid area, I decided to pack it on my finger, which is the best way to do shimmers. And I decided to use the shade Baltimore, Maryland, on the outer crease area of my lid. And from the Lightspeed palette, I used the shade of Momentum. Both of these are very pigmented. The Kat Von D Divine palette was slightly brighter. I felt like the palette Lightspeed had a little bit of a darker blue. In the palettes, they look kind of the same, but you can kind of tell that the Lightspeed one has slightly darker blue pigments. So for the lower lash line, I just take the shade of Waters from the Divine palette and the shade of Hyperdrive, again, just all under the lower lash line. You can definitely tell the Divine palette has a lot more pigment and it's really easy to blend under here. I found this one kind of patchy under the lower lash line. I don't know if it was just the brush I used, but it was just kind of hard to like pack and blend under there. So side by side, overall, I don't think there's any chance you'd be able to tell these are different palettes. Other than the lower lash line on this one's really crappy looking. But overall, like the lids, they look the same. It's been about an hour and a half since I did that makeup. I want to do a little bit of a wear test. And I find that both shimmers equally transferred up above my hooded lid. But I don't know. We're going to wear it for the rest of the day and see which one kind of holds up, which one has more longevity to it. Pigment overall, I like this Kat Von D one better because it's easier to blend and they're pigmented. This one has pigment to it, but it's harder to blend it. And there's a little bit more fallout. But still overall for $12, this palette's not bad. For $23, this one's very good. For the size comparison, they're pretty much the same size. This one's slightly smaller. This one's heavier than the Kat Von D palette though. This one has substantially more weight. It kind of feels like a magnetic palette. And this one just feels like a standard Kat Von D palette. I don't know. This one is heavier though, but I don't know. Let's go wear this throughout the day and then we'll see my final thoughts. Okay, real quick before we get started with the long wear test, I do want to point out that I cleaned off each of these shades between using the eyeshadows with a dry cleaning thing. You guys asked me last time I did one of these like comparison videos where I got this. I'm not exactly sure, but I will leave one of these linked in the description box for you if you want to buy one. And also the brushes that I used for this look, all of them except one are from Juno & Company. They're the brand new brushes they just came out with. And this is my first ever affiliate link, so I'll leave them linked down below if you want to try them out. But I just really want to try the new brushes. And I'll leave both these things linked down below for you. Hey guys, it has been about 4 hours since I put on this eyeshadow. And we just had an incident. So I was going to do a check-in soon anyways, but this eye is the Divine side. It's fine. But this eye, I used a brush, if you remember, to do the inner silver color instead of packing on with a finger or a wet brush. I just used a dry brush. And I had some of these silver glitter get into my eye. And I just take out my contact and wash my eye out and everything. So the lower lash line little test is a little bit compromised right now because I did have 2 tears run down this side. But the tops, they still look kind of even. I would say the green on this one's a little bit brighter right now, but the rest of the eye makeup looks about the same on the top lid. But don't use a dry brush for the shimmers on this palette. Obviously, it's very painful to get glitter in your eye. Alright guys, it is the end of the night. It's been 10 hours since I applied this eyeshadow and I'm ready to take it off. So this is the Hush eye right now. A lot of the blue, gray, and black have kind of just faded into this. And this is the Kat Von D eye. It's slightly more blue, but again, the outer darker colors don't look great on either eye in my opinion. The greens held up pretty well for being in the crease and not in a lid area for being a shimmer. This green is slightly darker and more busted out, like more blown out. And this one is a little more packed on where it was originally. It's a little bit brighter, but that's how they were originally, so I don't really see a difference there. Lower lash line, this has like no eyeshadow under here because, again, the glitter fell in my eye. The silver shadows look exactly the same. The silver shadows stuck up pretty well. They're both pretty good. I would say get the Kat Von D one because it is easier to blend and the quality is slightly better. Especially with the glitter incident I had to get into my eye, and the Hush one, but the Hush one's still a good deal for $12. It's not a bad palette. I'm not going to knock that. I do like the packaging of the Kat Von D one a little better. It's a lot thinner, more lightweight, and I know it's like a vegan product too, so that's pretty good. Overall though, both products are pretty good. I'm not going to say for sure the Kat Von D one. I mean, it looks better in my opinion, but this is a very long time. Most people don't wear their makeup for 10 hours, I don't think. I don't know. Anyways, I'm tired. I think they look pretty good. Both of them are pretty good purchase. $12 and $23. It doesn't make that much of a difference for the price, though. If you do want to get the Kat Von D one, it'll probably last you a little bit longer, and you won't have as much chance of a glitter getting in your eye like I did with the Hush one, but the Hush one still looks pretty good if you want to get the app and try it out. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I'm gonna go to bed now. Alright, bye.